So sometimes people ask me what the difference is between a rodeo horse and a jackpot horse, and that's really subjective. I mean, I think there's something to do with the management of them. It could depend on your riding style or how you take care of him and how you manage the horse when he's hauling on the road. So rodeo horse, we think of being out on the road and hauling all year, and a jackpot horse is one that lives at home and hauls on a day trip to the jackpot or a weekend trip. And so I think there's a lot in the personalities. You see people who are natural competitors. They love it. They love being out in the excitement, the action. You can be like me and you like to go for the food or whatever, but they're social bugs. There's also people who aren't like that and they dread it, but they have a lot of talent. They might be athletic and have skills, but that's not what they like about it. That actually stresses them out, and they might have sensitive stomachs and not like the social interaction and feel stressed, don't like the stress of competition. And so when we see horses like that, well, they usually do a little bit better at home, living at home, and the ones that are the social bugs and like to go for the food, I guess you'd say, they're maybe the rodeo horses. So I guess getting back to just what type of horse would I pick for each. In the past, I say back in the day when I rodeoed a lot, I did like a cross of a foundation type, bloodline in the pedigree, and what I was looking for out of that is just hardiness. Not only would their body hold up, but they just had that grit. They understood hard times, right? So if they were raised in a golden palace, so to speak, had too easy of an upbringing, or the genetics that required an easy upbringing. They're fragile, sensitive horses, but they have super great talent. Those are the type I would try to either find across to horses that had a little bit more grit in their pedigree. And I say grit, like they could conform to the conditions. If they're a little bit sore or they're a little bit they're hardier, and didn't colic or get sensitive stomachs and handle the stress a little bit better, just tougher. And to this day, I really look for that. I'll weed them out pretty fast. If I see a horse that appears fragile, I get rid of them. I just don't like the difficult, because I've taken care of those horses and had to win on those kind of horses, and they're just a lot of work. You've got to cover every base. I mean, I had a horse one time that he had to have new clothes. Every time I buy him something new, it seemed like he liked it, and I felt superstitious about it. Get a new blanket or get new wraps, and he would just be like, oh my gosh, I love my new stuff, and he would smell it, and treats, of course, all that. I spoil him, right? But, I think it gets down to the point of management, when you come down between a rodeo and a jackpot horse. And then the next thing I think about is their style, and that, again, comes back to how you ride them and maybe how you train them. But a rodeo horse's style, I like what I've been good at is I like a horse that's agile on their feet, real versatile with their athleticism, and can shorten their stride. I don't like a heavy-footed horse or a long-strided horse, or a horse that has a tendency to be strung out. Nowadays, we know that we can maybe train them and help them along that path, a little bit more. A horse that gets a little more sore, gets sore hocks or whatever, he's not going to like that hard old rodeo ground. And so, I like it when I talk about grit in a horse. I like if they're a little bit sore and they got to handle that hard ground. I mean, they've got to put their heart into it and come through for you. So, I mean, that to me makes a rodeo horse that can handle the other conditions. So jackpots, we have better ground. We have more conducive conditions to a horse putting his heart and soul on the line and putting that big motor to the test, and using the ground a little more around the turns. They don't maybe want to rate up as much, or they don't have to rate up as much. And when they make a hard, forceful, use that ground, put a lot of force on the ground in the turns, the ground's going to hold them, and they'll outrun a rodeo horse at times because they don't have to count on tomorrow. If they strain themselves, they're going home to rest for the week. They're not getting in a trailer and hauling for 500 or 1,000 miles over the next day or two and doing it again. So that's been a difference to me. And I know I always went back and looked over some of my best rodeo horses and how bad we did at jackpots at times, because those fresh horses that lived at home and were fresh and were coming into those jackpots would beat us by, 2 or 3 tenths, and you're all proud of your horse and sentimental. I've got a really good horse and I'm making the NFR, or think maybe I want to win the world championship on it, and then here I get smoked by 2 or 3 tenths or 4 tenths by someone that doesn't go very often and just has a really good horse in a home arena. But that's the difference. They're fresh and they're strong and they're confident. Rodeo horse knows that they could fall or they could slip.